Tell me, is it possible to survive here? It's possible, but not likely. To survive, you'll need to be very smart. My name is Samuel, and this episode will review the novel What World Is Left by Monique Polak. The book tells a fictional story that's inspired by real events and real people. It tells the story about Aniek, a Jewish girl who lives close to Amsterdam, but her and her family get sent to Theresienstadt, a Jewish concentration camp in World War II Czechoslovakia. The genre of the book is historical fiction. Everything is based off something real in history, but it's mostly fictional. It's a standalone book that's 13 chapters with around 17 pages each. The book wasn't too challenging of a read, but it was still challenging enough. It's just the right level for 13 to 14-year-olds. The book is sort of different from other books on the same topic because it's fictional. I also think that the book has a lot of interesting characters, not only including the girl. The book is written from the perspective of Aniek, the main character, and what she's thinking. I feel like anyone aged 12 and older could handle the subject in the book. There are some parts of the book that could be considered extreme, but I wouldn't say the book is too extreme. The main characters are Aniek, her father, her mother, and younger brother Theo. With Aniek, I find it very interesting the way she makes up stories about others to fill in the blanks of what she doesn't know. And her father, a cartoonist who worked for the newspaper back in Holland, made very interesting decisions during the book. I really wanted to know more about him while reading. Her mother isn't as interesting as the other characters, but she still seems to care for her family. Theo is meant to be the annoying child of the family, and it's fun to see him grow. There are also a lot of other interesting characters, but talking about them would go more into spoiler territory. I felt like the characters were very human and relatable, and in making them relatable, it makes it easier to understand how the characters feel during their horrifying experiences. The characters face really everything you would expect them to face during the Holocaust. But Aniek also faces the normal struggles of a teen. Even during the hard times of the book, there is always a point where the characters can take a breather. And with all their unique personalities, it makes them very likable. My favorite character was the father. The fact that he's an artist affects their story a lot in the book, and he's good at making just the right decisions. Aniek, right when they got into Theresienstadt, was talking about how smart her dad is and how he would protect them. And then right at that moment, he got a very important detail of the guard. I think for anybody who reads this will remember it as a book about hope and growing up, as well as the just plain unfairness of the human rights violations shown in this book. The story takes place during World War II in Europe. Most of the story is in Theresienstadt, though. I think most people would be able to get a vague idea of what the setting looks like, but it's much easier if you already have a small understanding of what World War II era and/or Theresienstadt looked like. I feel like the author talks about the setting as much as any other author of similar genres. I think others would like the book because of how it teaches you of the horror of the Holocaust, while not just being a documentary type thing. I like the pacing and how it got you introduced to the main character, her personality, how she interacts with others, and their life before they were deported. Compared to other similar books, it seems to have more like what's going to happen next moments, with it barely being that predictable. Also, the stories that Aniek makes up are unique to this book. I felt like I was able to feel exactly what the author was trying to convey with the characters. There are many points in the book that will make you smile or laugh, even during their terrifying times of the book. That will give you a quick breather. I also felt distraught at what the Nazis did to them or said to them, and sympathy for the characters when they missed home. It really made me think of the absurdity of the Holocaust even more after reading the book. For the most part, the story is easy to follow and understand. The only problem I had is when the setting sometimes changes completely. It's not super abrupt, but I still found it kind of confusing at sometimes. I still really like how Annie makes up details though. It's a very interesting narrative choice. I found it sort of funny though that the girl makes up stories based in real life and so did the author too. I don't know. I just found some sort of connection there. I really didn't know what to expect when I chose the book. I really just liked learning about the world wars a lot. The author definitely succeeded in what she wanted to do. Well, of course, I don't know that for sure, but I feel like it's more obvious what she was trying to convey than not. The horrors of the Holocaust with interesting characters. The book was mostly complete, and I think that was because of the pacing. There really wasn't any plot holes, and in the end, when I was done the book, I was just like, wow, that was a good book. The book felt very real. I think that's pretty easy to do with a book that's mostly based on non-fictional events, though. My favorite part of the book is whenever everyone is happy and slash or relieved. The book has many intense moments that last long, and it's nice to have that breather. There's nothing I would change except for adding a bit more detail in the setting. I would say I'm not that great of a writer though, so I don't know how I would change that, but that's really the only thing I felt like there needed more of. I feel like this book is not for everyone. It's a little too intense for really anyone 11 and younger, maybe even 12 and younger because of the subject matter, and it's really not challenging enough for anyone 15 or older. It's probably really good for ages 13 to 14 and people who like history. And finally, I would like to give this book a 5-star. It really is one of my newest favorite books, and I would really hope others read it too. I think this book will leave a lasting impact on you.